Diet Disruptors, Carrie here, and I love having my podcast in my kitchen. So I just think sitting at the kitchen table with my girlfriends, hanging out, talking about all the things of life is what I love to do. And by doing our episode here at my kitchen table, I feel like I kind of get to do that with you. Today we're going to talk about something that I really feel like I have in my head all the time and that people just know. And I actually had one of my coaches ask me this question, and I was like, oh my gosh, do I share this enough? It was really funny. And then we recently ran a live webinar, and it's the first one I've ever done, a free live webinar. I've never done that before. And we had like 1,000 people register and engage and ask questions, and it was incredible. And I got a few of the same question from women that attended. Want to know what that question is? It was, why do you do this work? Why do you do disruptive nutrition? Because I had been an educator for more than 20 years, living a very successful life in that world. I had been a special ed teacher. I was actually nominated as Teacher of the Year, as first year Teacher of the Year. My first year, I was in my element. And by the end of my career, I had been a national educational consultant, relying on my expertise as a behavior specialist to be traveling the country and teaching teachers and their administrators how to really look at our classrooms in a different way. And back then I said to them, if you really want something different, you have to do something different. And we started with classroom management and helping them understand behaviors, not just within their students, but that their behaviors are what, as teachers, are what often triggered certain behaviors of students. And by analyzing ourselves, we could actually change the culture of our classroom. And I actually did it with real-time coaching. I put an earpiece in a teacher's ear, and I would stand at the back of the classroom and cue the teacher in real time to be able to make adjustments. When I do media, when I'm on the news or being interviewed, or we have our television show, I'm the co-host of the most watched nutrition show in the world. And I always have an earpiece in my ear, and the producers are talking to me in real time. And so I always joke that, I was doing that in the classroom. So I was like ready for TV. But the amazing thing about all of that work that I had done was that it was really setting me up for what I'm doing now. But I remember one of my colleagues said to me, you better not leave to go do this nutrition thing, because see, about 10 years ago, while I was a national educational consultant, I had gotten a hold of my health. And I had this very secret obsession, compulsion, frustration, discouragement with my body. My relationship with my body and food had been problematic from the time I was a little girl. When I was a little girl, I was really, really thin. You could see pictures of me. There's this joke. I had the same pair of shorts from when I was like 3 years old till I was like 12. They just got shorter and shorter as I got taller. And I remember being body shamed in middle school because I was a cheerleader and I was so skinny, and they were making fun of me in the stands. So it always bothers me when people judge other people's bodies, whether they're small or big. I just don't understand why that has any bearing on your ability to judge me or anybody else. But that being said, as I was doing my thing in education, I had been introduced to this concept of fueling my body, not depriving it. And once I learned that, it was so obvious that why what I had been doing wasn't right. See, because I had placed my value on my weight, on what I looked like. because once I got through that little skinny phase, and honestly, it was through high school and all of that, people never would have really known at all that I had any sort of issues. However, I was a college cheerleader, Division I college cheerleader, and at the end of my senior year, when my season ended, I remember going into my school job at university, and everybody in the office ordered pizza, and I literally could not eat the pizza. I felt like my mouth was closed shut, and I had no ability to actually eat the pizza. I had no idea what was happening to me, but I knew that if I'd eat the pizza, I'd get fat, and I wasn't cheering anymore, and all of my value was in that scale. I remember calling my mom, and my mom, who I mean, my mom and I are so close, but I didn't even realize, and I don't think she even realized the relationship she had with food in her body. And she was unable to really recognize what was happening, support me with what was happening. And I really was on my own. And I think about that a lot as a mom, because so much of what we do, we can't teach what we don't know. We can't teach what we don't live. It's not authentic. It's not real. It's not going to be intuitive. And there's no way she could have taught me to love myself, to see my value outside of the scale, when that wasn't where she was. So then comes on the eating disorder, only then to fast forward through to when I was pregnant and finally felt like I could eat without guilt, that I ended up gaining 80 pounds and struggled to be able to lose it in a way that was healthy. Now, keep in mind, I got pregnant through IVF. I had gone through years and years of infertility. I was a mess when it came to my health. My hormones were completely out of whack. That's what happens when you restrict and have an eating disorder. I shouldn't say that's always what happens, but in my case, that was the situation. And ended up having Grace, who's now almost 19 years old, and Ellie, who we adopted after trying to get pregnant again and having multiple miscarriages through more IVF. And it was when my girls were 5 and 6 years old, and we were having family Friday pizza night, that, because I didn't eat the pizza, I had salad on the side with dressing on the side. I didn't have it. One of them said to the other, "Why does mom not eat the pizza?" And the other one said, "Well, because it has too many calories." And I was like, whoa. Now, that's when I started to do something. That's when I started to realize I needed to do something different than I had been doing. I was going around this roller coaster and this hamster wheel at the same time. Now, I tell you that because most people know the parts of that story, if not all of that story. It goes deeper and it goes longer and all of that. And that was my why, or the transition into my why. My why for digging into my health at that time was for my kids. I didn't want to give my kids the same disordered eating as I had. So that was it. It wasn't to be healthy. It was really for that. And so I started going to the gym, thinking that was going to help, because it was all I knew how to do. Because I don't know about you, but actually I do know about you. I know about many of you, I should say, is that that's what we are taught. You eat less and you move more. And I was already eating less, so I thought I need to move more. And so I did that for a year. And yeah, I got stronger, but I really didn't see any difference. And I think in so many ways, because I didn't know myself, I didn't know nutrition, I just thought I could eat more than I had been eating. And I even got to the point where I just kept buying box wine because it was cheaper. And if I drank more wine, it would make me feel better. But I didn't really want to spend the money on